Hi guys and girls, I'm Obsidian Ant and welcome to 3303. This is where I take a look at the news and happenings in and around Elite Dangerous. This week, rank requirements are being dropped for some very powerful Federation ships. The Fuel Rats undertake their most daring mission yet. And we take a look at the player stats for Elite Dangerous. From tomorrow, the 28th of December, all the rank requirements for the Federal Assault Ship, the Federal Gunship, as well as the Federal Dropship are going to temporarily be dropped. Now this is a result of this week's community goal, which was issued by Core Dynamics, the manufacturers of said ships, and in terms of in-game lore, this is a direct response to the mounting Thargoid threat. Now the rank requirements for these ships are not particularly high, but not everyone is going to have the ranks, as it does take a reasonable amount of time to get there. Now what's interesting is that these ships have a lot of hull, and they're particularly useful for attacking the Thargoids. Now you might want to go out there in a wing with these ships, but it is possible to take on a Cyclops at the very least, solo with one of these ships. The cost of the ships is fairly low, as is the rebuy cost relatively low, so now is a good time to get involved in Thargoid combat if you've yet to do so. Last week, the Fuel Rats undertook their most daring rescue yet, travelling the furthest anyone's ever travelled from Sol. They went to 65,659 light-years in order to rescue Commander Persera, who was undertaking a Hutton orbital contract. Now, people will recognise that Beagle Point is the furthest system away from Sol at 65,000 light-years, so how did Persera get this extra distance? Well, essentially, she arrived at Beagle Point and then headed outwards on a regular conventional supercruise drive until she essentially ran out of fuel. So this took her the extra distance needed to set the new record for the furthest distance ever travelled from Sol. However, her intention was never to run out of fuel. She did want to be able to make it back to be able to retain the record, which meant she needed to get to a scoopable star. Fortunately, the Fuel Rats were willing to rescue and go out and help, and this did mean that they, like her, needed to travel in a straight line for 48 hours of real time. So fortunately, the rescue was a success, and this has been documented on numerous websites. You can see some links to these in the video description below. I'll link there to the website Polygon. As with many games at the moment, Elite Dangerous is on sale, both Elite Dangerous the vanilla version as well as Horizons that is, and Elite Dangerous is now available for £5 at the moment, which makes it pretty cheap. I believe it's the cheapest it's ever been. It's also available at discount on the consoles as well, so if you're looking for an additional account, or if you perhaps want to purchase a copy for a friend or family, then now is a great time to jump in for that. In fact, over the past few weeks there's been a huge influx in new players, and this is partially down to sales of the game, and of course it's also down to the increased footprint of the Thargoids in patch 2.4, with the damaged stations as well as the release of the Type 10. And this is actually an interesting moment to take a bit of a look at some stats that are available for players on Elite. Now, not all stats are fully available, the only stats we can see are those on Steam. And whilst I fully accept, and many people are no doubt going to say, Steam doesn't show everything, it will, of course, show trends. So, with that in mind, Elite Dangerous subreddit admin StuartGT recently posted some rather interesting stats from Steam Spy. There's now well over 1 million players on Steam alone. That doesn't account for, of course, the sales on the Frontier Store or those on the consoles. The concurrent players chart also seems to show a healthy or at least a very stable player base. And as of this week, concurrent players are now showing 10,000 active concurrent Steam players. So if you're a new player to the game and you happen to be listening to this video, and I do know the game can be very difficult to get into, then do check out the various tutorials I have here on my channel. I'll link them in the video description below. Now some of them are still quite a bit out of date, and at some point very soon I'll try and get these updated. But for now they should do a pretty good job of getting you off the ground. The rather awesome Elite Dangerous YuleTube Christmas series come to an end on Christmas Eve, with the final episode in the series being released by Commander Turgeon Starstone. Now this was an absolutely fantastic series with a lot of involvement from many different Elite Dangerous YouTubers. I highly recommend you go and check it out, and I'll link the final episode there in the video description below, and from there you should be able to find the rest of the series just in case you haven't been keeping track of it. So here we are then towards the end of the year, and that also means we're at the end of the series 3303. It's actually been a pretty huge year for Elite Dangerous, starting off almost fairly quietly on the 1st of January, with a massive impact a few days later with the arrival of the first Thargoid interdictions. The scope from that point up until the end of the year has been pretty slow, at least in terms of the narrative, but there's been some very good highlights over the year, and these would be the Thargoid bases, as well as literally the explosions in the past few weeks. So everything that happened in 2017 is something I'm going to be discussing in the next video, as well as what's to come in 2018. For now though, that brings us to the end of this final episode of 3303, but don't worry, I'll be back very soon with 3304. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time.